Board of Trustees regular meeting. I would like to request Secretary Kat Dooley to do roll call, please. Unmute and roll call.
Okay. Trustee Melissa Augusta. Trustee Mesternet.
Here.
Trustee Wood.
Here.
Trustee Yu.
Present.
Trustee Mishner.
We see him.
Present. Present. Okay. And Trustee Lawler.
Hey, Dara. Is he here?
Who are we missing?
Is Bill here?
Yep.
Okay.
He was just on mute.
There you are. Hi, yes. Perfect.
Everybody's present.
All right. If everyone could please say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's so nice to see everybody. All right, so we're going to start out with the approval and overview of the agenda, which is on pages 1 through 4. Do you see any changes or discussions?
President Augusta, I just have one item to make note of. You're missing a number 11 on the agenda. Just please disregard, that was just a mistake.
10 to 12. Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you so much. All right, number 5, there are multiple, so we'll go line by line on this one. The first one is the approval of the regular meeting minutes. I think that was the last time we were all together, right? Was February 19th. Yes, Ms. Tara.
Did you want to say all of us say aye?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So sorry, I'm a little rusty.
No, we all are. It's okay.
All right, a motion to approve in a second. All in favor say aye of approving the agenda. Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I will take all help anybody has to offer today. This is my first meeting like this. So I think, Tori, you and I are at the same place, sitting outside the library. All right. Approval of regular meeting minutes from February 19th, which is on page 5 through 11. Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve regular meeting minutes from February 19th, 2020?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a
Second.
Thank you, Tori. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. B, this is the special library board meeting minutes from Friday, March 13th. Now, I was not at that meeting, so I'm going to not vote. Is there any discussion that is on pages 12 through 14? Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Awesome. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So really quick on that, I think that I was at none of those special meetings because I already started distancing. So I don't think that I'm able to vote. So should I just say abstain or not able?
I think
That's a good point.
Yeah, abstain. I did too, yeah.
Right. So there's 2 abstains on the February 13th meeting for Michener and for Augusta. Is that correct?
March 13th.
March 13th?
March 13th? Yes, 2 absent. Okay.
I was not at that meeting either.
I mean, well, I don't know if you want to say on the phone, but not able to vote. I'm not sure how you want to do it because I was present, but not. Does that make sense?
You should be able to approve the meeting note if you were there, even though you couldn't vote,
Yeah,
but
but I
you
should
were
second.
there. If you
Okay.
weren't participating, yeah.
Okay. So since I was present, but not in
Right.
you were present, it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to make sure I understood.
There's only 1 abstention then, and that would have been Melissa, who wasn't at the meeting at all.
Gotcha. Okay, then I.
Yeah, good. Bill, were you not at the meeting either? At all?
I was not.
Okay, perfect.
I was not.
Okay. All right, C, this is approval for meeting minutes for the special library board meeting on Tuesday, March 17th. And that is on 15 through 17. Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. All in, second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 All right, moving right along. We did not have a library meeting on for D, so that one was canceled for March 26. So then we have approval of claims and warrants for March, which is on page 19 through 20. Any questions or discussions?
I do have some discussion on that. Page 19, about halfway down, a warrant to Barnes and Noble relative to the Chief Joy Officer.
Yes.
We spent $2,450, and I'm just wondering, is that what we do when we have these speakers? We buy the books and then sell them at the event?
It was actually part of, we purchased the books for the event for the attendees through the library, and it's a special account that we use for outreach. And then there was, and those were purchased by the library specifically for the event, for the people who attended only.
So the customers, our people that come to see it don't have to buy the book. They're given the book as part of the entry
That is
fee.
correct. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it was part of a bigger event with the Chamber of Commerce.
I remember that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any additional questions, discussions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the claims and warrants for account 268 for March 2020?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Thank you. And a second?
I'll take the second.
We'll take the second. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, and approval of claims and warrants for account 268 for April 2020, which is on pages 21 through 23. Any questions or discussion? Do I have a motion to approve claims and warrants for account 268 for April 2020?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 I probably don't have to raise my hand, huh? I keep raising my hand. All right. On pages 23, this is the approval of claim and warrants for account 269 for March of 2020. Questions or discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 All right. And last but not least, H, approval of warrants, claims and warrants for count 269 for April 2020, which is at the bottom. Questions, discussions? Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. All in favor say aye.
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 All right. Number 6, correspondence on page 24.
We've not had many, but two that I just wanted to bring your attention to. The first one is from Rochelle Smith, a Novi resident. This is in regard to our closing, how much she is missing us, how much she appreciates what customer service was provided to her when it came to renewing her card. And I know that she's a regular patron that uses this pretty frequently, and she's looking forward to us getting back to normal sometime. And then the one below that is from Shannon White, Library of Michigan. I've been partaking in a number of weekly conversations with the state of Michigan, and this was a little email that she dropped to me about how wonderful she thought the information was that the city and the library was putting out to our community. So I wanted to share that with all of you.
Very nice, very nice. All right, thank you.
I'm happy to report to you that I have not received one negative comment since we closed in March. We've had lots of questions, but there has not been one negative comment that's come in.
That's wonderful. I think everything you're putting out on the internet and the book reading and the activities, I can't wait to make a shrinky dink. I haven't shrinky dinked. I just got to figure out how to buy the plastic. But everything has been so much fun. So much fun. All right, and number 7, no presentations or special guests at this time.
That's correct.
And so we'll go to number 8, so the student representative report, and you can, we'll just read them, right? They're on page 25 through 31.
Yeah, I won't read them. I'm happy to take any questions. One thing I did want to let the board know is we do have a new student rep. Her name is Sarah Chang. She will be joining us hopefully in May if we are all together. If not, I will get the students to join us virtually. Since this was our first meeting, I just thought I would keep it to all of us. And on Tuesday, April 21st, Lindsay Gochai, who's our teen librarian, we did a Zoom meeting with Sarah, welcoming her to the board, gave her the board expectations as a student rep. And so we're working with her to get her up to speed and to get her ready to fulfill her position as a new student rep. Her time, both actually, Tarun and Sarah's time will be up in December with them being young students, and they're both only going to be going into their junior year. I'm hoping that we will benefit from both of them staying on for their junior and senior years, and we will have a couple of years to spend with them. And we'll know more as the year goes on. But I look forward to introducing you to Sarah. I think she's going to be a wonderful fit, and she seems to have a lot of energy, and we'll get her going as soon as possible. Any questions on the student report? If I can answer them for you, I'd be happy to. I think go ahead, sorry.
I just wanted to mention that I hope that they continue to do the SAT practice test. You can see by the participation, 49 people, that there is interest in it. And I think it's one of the more program productive things that they do.
It is. That's already been talked about. I know that Lindsay's working on that to make available, and there might even be opportunities for virtual. We don't know, but we will try and see what we can do in order to keep the kids engaged.
Very good.
I will point out that there's some photos on page 29 from the Novi Education Foundation. They did make a donation to the library for $500 so that a new ping pong table could be purchased for Teen Space. Unfortunately, we unveiled it and then we closed. So it's not getting much use right now, but when we do reopen and Teen Space comes back in the fall, we look forward to using this table on a regular basis. The NEF is a wonderful organization there. And, typically they give, just for all of you to know, typically they give just into the district itself. So it was wonderful to receive some of their funds and have it go towards the library, especially since it is hitting directly their students. So we're very excited. There was a thank you letter that was sent out, and we're keeping in direct contact with them. Just a wonderful organization that's supporting us.
I was able to see that thank you letter I think yesterday. So Jason did send it around to all of us, and it was really heartwarming. Thank you for that.
Good. Yeah, no, that was written by Yolanda Hockaday-Dennis, our Teen Space monitor. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'll send her a note about that.
All right. Any questions or discussions, or can we move on to number 9? Number 9, President's Report. So we have our goal update, which is on page 32 through 39. Lots of red.
So as you can see, lots of additions to the goal document. The one thing that I just wanted to point out to the board at this time is, if you look at page 39, I did add a COVID-19 section to this goal document. I felt, since, that we're definitely living this, and there's a lot of information for us to be gathering over the next couple of months. This truly does affect our goals and what we're doing since March. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Makes sense. Any questions or discussions? All right, strategic objectives, we've already discussed that. So the next one is C, which is the slate for the 2021, say that 3 times fast, library board officers, and this will go into effect our next meeting.
Correct.
So as chair, I reached out to everybody and I heard Melissa Augusta, I'd like to still be on for president, and Kat Dooley expressed vice president, Terry Yu, interested in secretary, and Jeffrey Wood is interested in continuing on as treasurer. I wanted to know if there's a motion to accept this slate.
Motion to accept.
Thank you. And do I have a second? We'll have Tara second.
I'll second.
Excellent. All right, perfect. Is there any discussion or questions? All right, and then Barb, I would like to ask you if you could do a roll call vote and ask everyone's vote, please.
Melissa Augusta,
Yes.
Craig Messernet,
Yes.
Jeffrey Wood,
Yes.
Kat Dooley,
Yes.
Bill Lawler,
Yes.
Tara Mishner,
Yes.
Tori Yu.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. All right, so this will go into effect then for our next meeting.
From there, President Augusta, just to let you know, you'll want to start thinking about your committees. And if there, at May meeting, if there'll be any changes to those committees based on your guidance as president. So just let me know if you want to reach out now and get some thoughts, if anyone wants to move committees or not, and then we can move forward.
All right, I'll send out an email to everybody if anybody wants to change, and if not, we'll just leave everything as is. All right.
Great, thank you.
If anyone wants to make any changes, I'll send out an email just to get your thoughts.
I know right now a lot of the committees are in working. So for an example, HR and policy, they're going to be coming on with some big reviews of policies coming up. So I don't know if those people want to stay on or not, or if they know that they're coming for review, maybe they do want to change and they don't want to be involved. But this is a great time to know that.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. 10, treasurer's report.
All right, so for our approved budget for Fund 268 for fiscal year 2019 through 2020, you'll find that on pages 40 through 42. Nothing has changed there. We have total revenues of $3,147,439, excuse me, with expenditures of $3,234,539, with a net of $92,100 that would be taken out of the fund. For amended budget for Fund 269 for fiscal year 2019 through 2020, you'll find that on page 43. Total revenues is $39,500 with total expenditures $75,250 with a net of $35,750 that would be taken out of the Fund 269. And we have a little bit of change this year, or this meeting. I will be talking about the last 2 months report funds. So starting with the revenue and expenditure report fund for 268 as of February 29th, 2020, you'll find that on page 47. We have total revenues of $3,128,658 and total expenditures of $1,974,402. It's a net of $1,366,721. It's an increase of revenues of just over 24,000, and total expenditures for that month were $236,634. For March 31st, for the revenue and expenditure report for Fund 268 that ended March 31st. You'll find that on page 51 and 52. It's kind of split there. But we ended March 31st with a total revenue of $3,152,924. Total expenditures of $2,251,962, with a net of $900,961. So total expenditures for that month were $277,561. Our total revenues that came in that month were $24,266. For the revenue and expenditure report for Fund 269, as of February 29th, 2020, you'll find that on page 47. We had total revenues of $31,546, total expenditures of $9,820, with a net positive of $21,726. Page 53, you'll find the revenue and expenditure report for Fund 269 as of March 31st, 2020. We had total revenues of $38,905. Total expenditures of $8,233. That's a net positive of $30,672. So we will go on to the balance sheet reports for Fund 268. You'll find that on page 54. For the ending fund balance as of February 29th, that's $3,249,114. On page 56, you'll see the ending fund balance for Fund 269 as of February 29th, 2020 is $1,698,706. The balance sheet report for March 31st, you'll find on page 55 and 57. The ending fund balance for Fund 268 is $2,995,820. That's on bottom of page 55. And the ending fund balance for Fund 269 is $1,706,587, and you'll find that at the bottom of page 57. Any questions?
I don't know if this is the time to I don't know if this is the time to start talking about this or not, but since a significant portion of our revenue seems to come from real estate taxes, I anticipate, and I'll be anxious to see if anybody else feels the same, that we'll eventually start seeing a significant shortfall in that, because it sure seems like there's going to be mortgage defaults and foreclosures and sheriff sales and short sales and quite a few things. Probably the same with our penal fines, since there's such less traffic on the expressways. But is it time to start talking about dealing with what I at least believe is going to be a revenue shortfall?
Well, I think there's two shortfalls. I think it's the short term. We have revenue right now that we have about 24,000 a month, and that's based off of meeting rooms, that's based off of the cafe and other things. So we will have a shortfall in the short term, but I do think that that is being managed. Julie, you can probably speak to that based on, we have hires that are not being filled, positions are not being filled. So I think there's some costs that are being deferred there. So I think the short term we're okay. I think the long term, I think it's too early to determine whether that impact, but that could be an impact for next fiscal year potentially.
And if I could just speak for a moment, Trustee Wood and Trustee Lawler, those are great questions and points. Tomorrow, the Finance Committee will be meeting virtually at 1 o'clock, and that is one of the topics that we will be discussing, is looking at the 2021 budget. I already have managers providing me with some information on where we might want to potentially make some potential cuts now, so that we can look forward and feel comfortable with the new budget going forward in July. But we do have areas where we can go ahead and make some changes currently and hopefully make you feel more at ease as we move forward. You are correct. There's going to be ramifications for what's been happening. I have received some information from the state. I do believe that penal fines will go down. In fact, I've been told that, as well as state aid. So those are a couple revenue areas that we depend on. And I look forward to that conversation tomorrow so that we can bring more information back to the full board in May.
Very good.
All right. Any more questions or discussion? Perfect. We'll go on to number 12, the director's report, please.
Okay, few things to point out to you. First off, we are in National Library Week, and I am super excited. This is just a great time. Usually we're celebrating together. We're celebrating with a volunteer lunch. We're usually celebrating with a lunch for the staff so that we can thank them. On April 6th, Mayor Gatt and the City Council recognized the library with a wonderful proclamation for National Library Week. So I thank Mayor Gatt and Council for doing that for us. The theme this year is Find Your Place. And even though we're not in our building, I do believe that we are providing a place. We are providing a virtual location and way for our community to be connecting with us. And actually, I think we are just doing an amazing job. I want to take this time to thank the staff who is just absolutely cranking out some amazing programs and opportunities for ways to connect with our community right now. Everyone, I can assure all of you on the board that everyone is working in some capacity from home or sometimes visiting the building to do some things. But everyone is working and everyone is working very hard. They're giving over 100% every day to our community. They're answering phone calls. We have a number of phone lines that are available for the community to reach out to us. We are doing everything we can to be connecting right now with our community, and I'm very proud of them. And I also want to thank you, Library Board trustees, for your amazing leadership. Thank you. This is just unprecedented times. And to be able to rely on you and to be working with you, I appreciate your leadership as well. And I want to thank the Friends of the Novi Library, who are huge advocates of our library and also give generously every year to support some amazing programs. So even though our doors are closed, we are not closed to our community. So I think it's a wonderful way to be celebrating National Library Week. We are doing jobs, and I'm confident of that. Following is some congratulations on some staff anniversaries. So for April, I'd like to recognize Robin Dirks from Support Services. She's one of our shelvers. Sandra Lim from Support Services, one of our supervisors, and Jennifer Miankowitz from Support Services. She's one of our shelvers as well. And then moving on to May, we're looking forward to May. Gail Anderson from Information Services. She's our programming coordinator. She'll be celebrating 4 years. Amy Marcus from Support Services. She's one of our clerks and she'll be celebrating 3. Allison Janicki from Support Services. She's in our technical area. She is celebrating 3 years. Rachel Manella is from Information Services, and Rachel was an intern and just graduated from Wayne State University. So congratulations to Ray. Her internship has come to an end based on her graduation. We're very proud of her, and she did some wonderful work for us. In fact, some of her work is still being put up on our social media. She's been doing some fantastic poetry online and virtually. So you will see some of Ray's work still as she has left us. We wish her the very best. She will stay on as a substitute as we need her and as we open back up. So we hope that we will see Ray again. And then Jessica Howard is from our Support Services Department, and she is one of our shelvers celebrating 1 year. So congratulations to all of these staff and giving up their time for our wonderful organization. I'm going to skip page 59 and 60 right now, which is a draft of our MOU, and we'll come back to that during board matters. I'm also going to skip a few pages on executive order and a discussion I'd like to have with the board a little bit about reopening. So I'll start on page 69, and you can see some photos. One is a new ad for the Novi Chamber of Commerce directory, which we will be putting in their directory. It's a 2-year directory. And then below is a photo of the new van that arrived in February. This didn't make the last board packet, so I wanted you to see that. It has not been wrapped yet, but we will work towards it once we those executive orders change and we can connect with vendor. On page 70, I wanted you to see one of the first marketing pieces that will be an Engage coming out the end of this month, which is starting to talk about and promote the new Lakeshore Lending Library in Lakeshore Park. And it's a wonderful time to let everyone know on the board. I know you all know, but to let everyone know who might be listening tonight, the Community Financial Credit Union came on board with us as a sponsor for the lending library for a $40,000 donation in support of this new service that we will provide to the north end of our community. Congratulations to, yes, Community Financial Credit Union, and thank you so much. I'm hoping if we're not virtual in May, we'll bring CFCU members in so that we can do a check presentation. We'll hold off so that we can do something in person with them. So they're on hold for now, but we're moving right along. On page 71, I wanted to show you some of the graphics that are coming out for the Lakeshore Library and what it'll look like. As you can see, it encompasses the Lakeshore Lending Library name. It's got a wave to it, kind of fits with it being by the water, and it has a turquoise look. So you can see the two signs that give you a visual, but there will be other signage and other wrap that will be incorporated as well, that top photo there. But I just wanted you to see some of the artwork that's coming forward at this time. There's a lot of information that I incorporated into this particular board packet, which is related to the communications that have gone out over the last month and a half. I'm not going to go through them, but it's all the information that we've been sharing with the public as to how we are available to our community. I thought that this would be a good time to just capture this information as we keep our board packs always as a form of record. So, and then people can refer to it as well. So if you move to page 100, there was a wonderful article that was in the Novi today about the transformation of the youth space and the moving of the Novi special race car. A great article that we were able to put in. And then I can move forward to the information technology report by Barbara Kowski. Both her February and March reports are in there. I want to point out just a couple things. At the bottom of page 102, you can see a club cart, a golf cart that has been detailed with the Detroit insignia and a Spartan insignia. This is a local resident who goes down to Florida for the winter, and he used our iCube to make his decals for his new golf cart. So he's very excited. He shows photos once he got down to Florida. On page 103, you can see the start of Barb's report for March and how the library started assisting with the COVID and face shield project that was initiated Frog Force 503. Barbara Kowski had taken the 3D printer home and was helping with assisting with making the plastic pieces that go with the face shield. Unfortunately, a few days into production for her, she ran into a problem with the 3D printer. So she hasn't been able to make them. The students continue to make them. We have helped them by taking in donations under the Enable, which the Frog Force is part of, and helping them with the payment of supplies that they've needed to purchase. And I know that they have put out over 100 face shields, face masks at this time in the community. We just took in a donation from Hino Trucks for them to go towards what their work has been done. So the kids are doing a fantastic job, and Barb and her staff have been helping as they can. We actually had Charlie come in a few weeks ago, and he cut out, using our Cricut machine, the actual plastic part that attaches to the plastic piece for the headpiece for the face shields. So he had done some of that work for them and then had gotten them to them in order for them to go out. And then information services is next. These are reports by April Stevenson for February and for March. She's noted a lot of programs that were first happening in the building, but then also a number of programs that have been done by her staff in terms of workshops and conferences, as you can see, and more of this information will be provided next month as well. So the staff is working very hard remotely from home It's a time for them to take advantage of some training, which is always good. And a lot of this training, which has been wonderful, has come in free, just because of other organizations making it available to us. So there's a lot of training. They, of course, are interacting with our public as much as possible. You've seen some of the craft demonstrations that are on Facebook. You have seen story times taking place. We're looking into music programs as well. So we're trying to provide as much programming as we can virtually at this point. And then following, I'd like to know, just on page 114, Lindsay Gochai, who is our teen librarian, she was part of creating the Teen Intern Toolkit for YALSA, which is the Young Adult Libraries Consortium through the American Library Association. So she is noted for her work being published as a Novi employee. We're very proud of her for being a part of this particular project. And then moving forward, page 115 and 116, you will see that Marianne Zermulin has provided you with statistics that were for February and March. Lots of information that she's provided here in terms of checkouts. And then what I had the managers do is I had them put together on page 117 the start of some statistics for you to see what we've been tracking now that the COVID and now that the executive order went into place. So you can see the numbers of how we are interacting with the public and the types of programs and events that we have been able to put out to the community. On page 119, you'll see our normal statistics. They are going to be lessening a little bit. You'll see numbers go down, obviously the usage of the building, and then even checkouts. However, you're going to see checkouts really increase when it comes to downloadables. So I do think we are reaching our community and getting them materials as much as possible. I do know that we added some money to our electronic resources and data collections so that we can add more money there, knowing that the demand was going to happen, and we're continuing to still look at that if there's ways to move over some print collection money over into the electronic. So we are handling and meeting those demands when we can. I'm happy to take any questions related to the statistics or any of the board reports if you have any at this time.
I have a question, Julie. This is Kat.
Yes.
Hi. So I know this just because of my profession, but a lot of times with pages, Facebook is a pay-to-play kind of space. And I was wondering, I think we might have put in a little bit of budget money, even if it's like $5 or $10, to maybe sponsor some of the program posts.
Yes.
And then that could help amplify the engagement and get it in front of more people, just because Facebook has a tendency to bury the pages.
Yes.
Unless you kind of throw just a little bit of money. So that might be something to consider.
We already are. We are already,
perfect.
yep, we are already purchasing. And when we see a need for something to be out there big, David Silberman, who's our electronic services librarian, he is actually going ahead and making those decisions to do that. We have put some money aside for him to have that availability.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Any other questions at this time from the statistics or any of the manager reports? Following, you'll see some historical commission minutes that were approved, as well as an agenda that was provided to me. They're a little behind, and they didn't meet because of the flood that we had in January. So there's some missing minutes as well, but this is everything up to date at this point, and it goes through page 136. Happy to entertain any other questions if you have any.
Oh, thank you. A lot of information.
Yes, it is.
Even when it's not, a lot of the people come, we still have a lot going on. Yes. All right, committee reports. Policy committee, Chair Mishner.
Yeah, so there was a meeting with Julie and staff. That one I was not invited to, but on my end, I don't show anything else.
Yeah, the only thing we've been doing still is just still our actual staff meetings, reviewing the policies. And what we'll be doing is once we're almost done with editing and adding edits, and then I'll be bringing in the committee in order to have those meetings with staff to go over all of those details. They might be virtual at first. I'll figure that out with where we are. As of in the next 2 weeks, we should be finalized for you to start that review process with us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, HR committee. I think it's the same. You guys are still meeting. We have nothing new to report.
We're in the same boat. Both of those committees have been following each other in terms of the weeks that we have them. And actually, with us being closed, we've been able to have more meetings. We have them almost weekly to continue to work on. There's a lot of information, but we're almost there.
All right, finance committee, Chair Wood.
On mute, sorry. We're going to be meeting tomorrow, as Julie already stated, 1 p.m. There's a lot of topics to discuss, as Bill brought up earlier, but also talking about the MOU that Community Financial gave us with the $40,000 sponsorship and the current financial policy. So more to come in the next meeting.
Thank you. Events committee, Chair you.
All right. It's been pretty quiet. Because programs have all been canceled, we haven't attended any events. So that's all I got.
All right. Thank you. Strategic committee, Chair Julie.
No report at this time.
Thank you, Mary. Chair Messernick for Building Landscape Committee.
As we've already talked about, and you can imagine, pretty much everything that was ongoing has been delayed or suspended. So that means some of the work out in the north end, the library lending kiosk, wrapping the van, doing a little signage stuff with the cafe, all that stuff's on hold, based on the governor's executive order, and we'll get back in progress when we're allowed to get back in progress.
Thank you, sir. All right, bylaw committee, Chair Lawler.
No activity at this time.
Thank you. All right. Do we do public comment as normal?
Yes.
Thank you. Public comment. In order to hear all citizen comments at a reasonable hour, the library board requests that speakers respect the 3-minute time limit. This is not a question and answer session. Therefore, library board members will not respond to questions. It is an opportunity to voice your thoughts with the Novi Public Library Board of Trustees. And how do we get to see if anybody is at the... All right. Forward. Thank you so much for that. That secret man in the background. Number 15, matters for board action. Julie.
Okay, so on page 59 and 60, this is the second draft of the MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding between the Novi Public Library and the Novi Parks, Recreation, Cultural Services Department for the usage of the Novi Library van. There were no changes from the first draft that I brought to you in February, and I am at this point looking for approval.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the memorandum?
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
On page 59, the last sentence in bold says, the City of Novi Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services agrees to, and then the third bullet says, agrees to allow themselves to use the van as requested. For some reason, that didn't seem to make sense. That they agreed to allow themselves to use the van. Am I reading that wrong?
No, you are not. Thank you for the catch. It should be use the van as requested, must provide a 5-day advance notice of use.
So delete allow PRCS.
Yes.
So it's going to read that Parks and Rec agrees to use the van as requested?
Meaning they have to request it. And then, and then they must provide a 5-day advance notice to the library.
Should it note that upon approval or something of that nature, Julie or Craig or anyone?
It shouldn't be. Yeah, to request to use the van versus, yeah, I think you have the request in the wrong spot. That's what Craig's trying to say, which is, I think what you're saying, Tara, you know, you have to request it, we have to approve it, right?
Got it. Okay, so it'll read to request to use the van and then must provide 5-day advance notice of use.
That would be much better.
Okay, great, thank you. So it'll be an approval based on changes.
Yep, thank you.
Right. Do I have a motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding between the Novi Public Library and the City of Novi Parks, Rec, and Cultural Services Department?
I have a motion to approve everything you said. Do you want me to repeat it all back?
No, it's good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Awesome. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Go. And B is discuss options for reopening for the Novi Library based on Governor Whitmer's executive order.
So, yep, so we are, waiting for Governor Whitmer, which I understand she's going to hold another meeting press conference tomorrow, which might give us some direction as to when and how we might open. What I did for you is I started to put together, and this is very much draft, please understand that, but I've provided you with a lot of questions and thoughts that have been coming up over the last couple of weeks with my management staff and myself, as well as their own staff weighing in. In fact, today I sent an email out to the staff asking them to send all questions that they have concerning reopening and what that will look like, so that we can put a Q&A together for the staff and answer their questions, as well as once we answer theirs, I'm sure we'll be answering public. So this is a way for all the staff to weigh in on any concerns or thoughts that they have as we move forward. They're requested to return that information back to me by noon on Monday. The management team and I have a meeting on Tuesday where we're going to walk the building, practicing 6-foot distancing. We will start to walk the building to see where, bless you, where concerns are in the building, how and where placement and how the building will be used as we look to reopen. My recommendation at this point, and I'm just really looking for just some support. I don't need a motion, I don't need approval. You've given me that direction a while back in one of our last meetings, but is for you to all to understand that when the governor lifts these executive orders, there is going to be time that we will need in order to get us ready and to even open to the public. And I do believe that's going to be weeks down the road. What I'd like to do is start very slowly with, first of all, looking at all the materials that are currently checked out. And I noted for all of you that we have over 20,000 items that are currently checked out in the community. That's a lot of materials, 27,000 materials. That's a lot of materials that need to come back to us that have to sit at least 24 hours based on the CDC's requirements. And we have been in meetings with the CDC. And then they need a high touch because they are cleaning. So we'll need to be wiping them and then putting them back on the shelf. So the first process is to bring back some staff to open up that opportunity for materials to start coming back, because that is one of the questions that seems to come up most from the patrons when we're fielding questions is, when can I return my materials? How do I return them? I don't want to be charged, which nobody is, no fines or fees on anything. But first getting those things back. I have not even heard from our cooperative yet as to how they will open up themselves in order to move materials that might belong to other libraries back to other libraries. So I'm waiting on that information.
So we are starting to plan, but there are lots of details and lots of information that still needs to be received on my end. I think that we can start with short hours of being available and having materials be returned so that we can keep up on the amount that's coming back to the building. I do see staff coming back in staggered ways because I'm sure there's going to be social distancing that we will need to practice in the building. You know, and not everyone coming back full staff. I do believe those are going to be some of the guidelines that we'll have to follow. And not only will we be following guidelines from our state, but we will be following them from our county and we will be following them from our city. This is a city building. So I have a number of things that I have to follow and be aware of that yet are to be determined and yet provided. So I just want you to be aware of that. What I brought you today is from some webinars that I've been involved in, questions and concerns, you know, that have come up in conversation. So there's a lot of great information that's already been given to me to start these conversations and get us rolling in a positive direction, looking towards opening in the future. But when and how, at this point, I can't answer everything for you. Mm-hmm. So I know that probably doesn't sound like a really great answer because I'm not answering everything specifically, but if you have some questions at this time, I'd love to at least take them, filter them, maybe respond to them, or at least get back to you because I don't believe I have all those answers yet for you.
Thank you so much, Julie. Absolutely. Just a really quick note, like I'm shocked by you because I know that you've been in the office like it's like a regular life for you, and I don't get it, but I appreciate you, and I just want to.
It's good.
That was noted. I'm blown away. I think you're very you've been very sacrificial for our library. So thank you for that.
The staff, I got to tell you, is doing the same. Please know that.
Yeah, I think you're awesome too, but this time is your time. So really quick, I have a question, and I don't think you'll necessarily have the answer, but if you want to file it under something else, too.
Absolutely.
Your book club groups, as well as your engineering kits, those types of things. So first with the engineering kits, like the STEM kits, those types of things, I wonder if there's different procedures for those being brought back than books. So that's one. The other question is the book club groups. And that was a little selfish, I have to admit to everybody, because I'm a part of one. And I've dispersed books from it. If you guys aren't familiar, our library has a really cool program where you can get a bag of books, like 12 of them, with questions and pass it out to your friends. It's super free, which I love. Yes. And then they read it, then you get back together. So it's a nice way to have a book club and save some money, and we're using the library. Well, I've got books out to different people that I love them, but I don't want to see them right now. Right. So I'm wondering, how will that happen? Because even when we come back, I'm not necessarily going to want to touch their books. Right. Nope, a fair question. I'm going to write them down, but I think I can answer a little bit of it, at least to give you some information. You know, we can accept those books back individually because they're the way they are marked on the books. They're specific to the book club, and we would know that we could get them back into the bags that they belong to. Okay. So that won't be a problem. It will be more cumbersome because we always look for that one person, but I understand that, and that won't be a problem for us to receive them at the drop boxes. No problem. The second one, when it comes to the STEAM kits, it's going to be, those don't fit in the slots. So that's the first thing to note. They're too big. So it'll be using the drive-up window, which is not a problem. Okay. And that will be part of, I think, some of that real quick delivery, not delivery, but return of materials is allowing everyone to return through the drop box or the delivery windows for us to start receiving things first. And we have those mechanisms in place. Thank you. You're welcome. Great question. Thank you.
I have full faith and confidence, and I know you'll keep us updated as soon as you get the word. So,
yeah. So looking at next week and May 1st, which would be the day, to roll out, if we even do. I am hearing from yesterday that she might extend it. So we don't know until tomorrow. And I'm following very carefully with the city. We're now meeting Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday mornings. debrief, and I'm part of those, to find out how the city will open as well, and how will we answer to those changes. So I've got 2 words, and I use them with the staff as well, as flexibility and patience. These are 2 words that we're going to need from everyone, not only the staff and you, but our community as well, in order for us, to start reaching them and to start building some different services. Probably it's like a backwards approach. We went to curbside with our drive up and the lockers. We might go back to some of that. I'd first like to get materials back, then, and see what we're dealing with. Kind of put a call out to our community, that it's okay that during these X amount of weeks, we want you to start bringing stuff back so that we can deal with it. I'd rather have them in-house, us have control over them sit like they're supposed to based on the CDC and get cleaned. And then we move into that next phase. As you can see from the board packet, I put together maybe about a 5-phase, which had no timelines and no dates to it, but it's just a stream of consciousness of ideas and thoughts of how we might roll out things, over the next few months. I am going to recommend, and I hope I have your support, that we would provide only virtual programming this summer. And that would be June, July. We're not providing anything in May, but June, July, and August, everything goes virtual. And because we don't know right now what those guidelines from the governor are going to be for groups meeting. And I don't want to plan big events, and then it be a disappointment that we don't have it. I'd rather move forward with a virtual event and give everyone the opportunity to be part of it and plan that way and do our marketing around it and get people involved that way than not have anything at all or things change.
Yeah,
I would, yeah.
We don't know how long this is going to be around, but it's going to be around. The only thing I would say, and I'm sure you'd be doing this anyway because you're communicating so well, is that when you kind of see a tentative end in sight to the closing of it, is in your communication that you have with folks, let them know that when we can, we'll start to open up. It will be phased in. And we'll let you know the details when we know them. So they don't expect, she said it's going to be open on X date, and we'll be there and ready to come in. So.
Nope. Thank you. I appreciate your support on that. But I wanted to, with summer coming and just the planning that we need to get, and we've got to shift. We really, at this point, it's making a decision of how we will provide programming. I can tell you, we're not going to be alone. The call that I was on today with Class 6 libraries, most large Class 6 libraries, which we are in that same class size with, they are doing virtual. Even MSU Tollgate right here in town is providing virtual programming all summer. So it's not just us, it is an overall feeling of how people will do things this summer.
I think it's really smart, Julie, because when I think about summer programming, I know that it's for everyone, but I do think about young kids, and they don't have some of the wherewithal and manners just yet intact to even do some of the things that we need to do to stay safe. They don't always know how to social distance. They don't always know how to put their cough in their sleeve. So I think the flip side of not doing what you're doing could be detrimental as well. So I think it's smart.
Thank you. And I agree with you. We are a huge gathering place in our community, and I am worried that should we open too quickly, that something could happen. I would not want to compromise, our community members, our staff, and our building for this. So I am being cautious. And so I do appreciate that support. That is the kind of direction that we're going to go in. We're going to go slow. We can always speed up. I'd rather start slow than have to, backtrack, or heaven forbid something happen. And then we've got it. Then we're in a whole different, ball game again. So, so I appreciate your support. Is there anything? So in terms of staffing and looking at, the areas that I broke down for you on page 65, when you look at page 65, I've started moving forward with already ordering, signage, sneeze guards. When we are going to interact with the public again, they're big plexiglass, 2 foot by 3 foot plexiglass pieces that staff will be on one side and the public would be on the other. I'm already moving forward with some of that stuff. I am going to require staff to wear some form of mask, and we've purchased 2 types. So they have options, but I do believe to keep them safe, I would like them wearing masks for a while. I think that is a good practice for us if we can ask them to do that. In terms of the public, I think we'll have to watch, what the governor requires, but I don't think there's anything wrong with asking, people, like, should they come in when we do start opening the doors, that they consider wearing one. Just because, it helps. I mean, you putting out that information and asking them to be courteous and maybe wear a mask, I don't think is too much to ask. Obviously, we won't have a policy for it and they don't have to follow it because I know people are not, even with the governor doing it. Putting out those types of information and asking, I don't think there's anything wrong with. And we can show, obviously, from the staff that we've all got them on, but we're practicing it.
Julie, you bring up a good point. And this might be for discussion later if you want to jot down, but I'm wondering as we look at policy, if we need to eventually shift some of our typical policy rules for being in the library. There are some things that even, as we know, grocery stores have done to keep their staff safe and also the other customers. So I can't say what those all those things are right now, but I'd be happy to help when it comes to that because this is a new world.
I know.
It's not the same. So
I know. I totally agree with you. I think if we need policy, I definitely will bring it. I'm looking at those now. And what's great is the executive orders help, because we're saying, and the grocery stores are using that. They're saying based on that, please, we're asking you. And now I know with my son working in a grocery store, he's wearing a mask. So, yep. So they are requiring it. And I don't think there's anything wrong, especially if you communicate it. And I do think we've done a great job with that communication to let people know before you come in, here's what you'll need.
Yeah.
Before you come into the building, and having that signage outside the building as they enter, you need, this, and this, before you walk in the building. I think even expectations of people only planning to stay 15 minutes, not allowing them to come in and, spend the day in the building. We're going to have to get to some of those types of, not necessarily policies, but procedures and expectations as we go to open. And so those are the things that we will start putting together and formulating over the next week or so. And as I get some staff back, and then as we get closer to opening up public, I don't believe we'll be opening up public right away, but we can start opening up some services with getting materials back.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Is there any questions at this point with the information that I provided to you and then I also sent you, I don't know if you saw the larger document that came out, I'll give you a screenshot of it. This is the Michigan Public Library's reopening considerations after closure. It's done by the cooperative. So if you can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, I sent that to you and that was even more information that I'm following from beyond my information that I put in the packet to you just because the packet was done on Friday and then this information came out. So you can see how quickly information is coming and changing too. And again, that goes back to those 2 words, flexibility and patience.
Yeah, that was very thought-provoking looking at that document. Like, yes. Oh, never would have thought of that.
No. So I if there's one thing about librarians, we are detailed. So you cannot fault us. And I think it's amazing what's being talked about both at the state level and through the many conversations that I'm on with other library directors and staff. We are detailed. We do try to think of things ahead of time, and we do try to plan. We're planners, we're thinkers. So maybe it'll be too detailed, but that's okay.
It seems to me one of the real challenges will be how to monitor the volume of patrons.
Yep.
They've talked a bit about 4 people per 1,000 square feet.
Yes.
And who would monitor that? And I'm sure we won't count down to the person there, but I don't know. Yeah, that would be challenging.
Yep, we've got counters. We could do that if we needed to, because on an average we would see 1,500 people a day.
Right.
That's pretty scary to come back. It's not that I don't want our public to come back to us, but we've got to work in a whole different capacity to get them back. And yeah, we can't see 1,500 people in one day in the first, we just can't do it.
No.
So I do agree with you. I do think there's going to have to be some regulations for usage of the building. And hopefully some of that will come from our governor and even locally with Oakland County, you know, even to be considered. So it'd be great if we have some of those guidelines where we could say, you know, this is based on Oakland County or the state in order for us to follow it. We do have counters. We can have someone counting and letting people know. We can let them know that, you know, we're only letting so many people in. That's why we only look for you to stay plan for a 15-minute visit. You know, and if we need to do one-on-one appointments and stuff as we move forward, there's lots of things that we can do. We do want to help our community. We do want to connect with them. We don't want them to think that we're not available to them, but we just have to be creative in how we're going to do it.
With only doing virtual programming and with the schools not being open, you're going to reduce a fair amount of your congestion.
That is my fear. My fear is that we will be inundated. So we have to be careful.
All right, stay tuned.
Thank you so much for that conversation.
Thank you, Julie. All right, I am at number 16, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 All right, we will see you guys on, what's our next meeting date? I have it right here.
May 28th.
May 28th.
May
You guys
28th.
have to bring cake.
Ooh,
Is it your
if we're-
birthday?
if we're in public.